This week on Supercars Talk, it's part one of my big Bathurst preview where we look at the pretenders, and Tim Edwards is leaving Tickford Racing. The big news this week is that the DJR Bathurst wildcard of Simona Di Silvestro and Kai Allen has finally been revealed. In typical DJR fashion, it looks very, very similar to the other cars, although instead of being red, it is yellow and white. I really, really like this, except the yellow should be more the Shell corporate yellow rather than the more lemon kind of yellow that the car is. It does kind of have memories, I think it was about 2003, 2004, kind of the Shell DJR livery where it was predominantly yellow and white. It is pretty cool looking, but yeah, my first thing was they got the shade of yellow wrong. Maybe they should talk to the McLaren IndyCar team about getting the shade of the colour right. The actual big news this week, though, is that it's been confirmed that Tim Edwards will be stepping away from Tickford Racing at the end of this year. He has been the team principal or man in charge for 18 years now. He jumped on board in 2005 when they were a bit of probably a laughing stock where pro driver come in, they hadn't really done much. They were losing their star driver in Craig Lowndes, or I think maybe he'd already departed by the time Tim came on board. But yeah, Tim came from a Formula One background, and although there's a lot of criticism on him about the results over the years, realistically they have been up against the Triple Eight and DJR juggernauts at various times over the years, and have generally been either the second or third best team over that stint. One championship and 2 Bathurst wins probably don't show how close they were on a lot of occasions. When you look through over the years, lots and lots of second and third positions there in the championship. Multiple wins over the years. They have done a very good job. They just ultimately have been pipped at the post by Triple Eight and then DJR Team Pepsi over the years. Not really known whether he was pushed or whether he walked. He has said that he's planning on spending more time with the family rather than going off to another team somewhere. But it's unlikely that we won't see him pop up somewhere over the years, and he will be missed. The team doesn't currently have a replacement yet, but yeah, they are obviously scaling back to 2 cars next year, so it will be a bit of a different role to the one that Tim currently has. In other news as well, Ford has committed to the series for at least 1 more year. There'll be a lot of people out there very, very disappointed by this because, that's not doom and gloom that they love to spout, I suppose. There's been a lot of people predicting Ford pulling out at the end of the year. They have stepped back their marketing spend, obviously, with the safety cars. It won't be Ford's next year, and they've already pulled back some of the TV advertising funding. Off the top of my head, I think they did sponsor something like the qualifying or something. I can't quite remember off the top of my head, but they have pulled back some funding during the year. They have committed to another year though, so that is actually really good news that they are at least sticking around, because as I said, if you listen to the fearmongers out there, Ford were pulling their IP and everything. Also, there's a lot of talk about parity at the moment and that it's not fair and that there's going to be a COG review once again. I thought we did this at the start of the year, but they're also talking about Ford having some shotgun panels put on the car, some lightweight doors and things like that. If we're talking about a COG thing, I would have thought playing with ballast would be a better idea rather than at the moment, like people going through and changing all the door panels on the cars. I mean, you trash them all the time, but I'd imagine you'd need new molds or a new material to make the doors out of, so it would kind of be a costly exercise, especially when you would already, I'd hope that all the teams had an inventory to go to Bathurst, and then if you, on the eve, just, oh yeah, you've got to change all of the doors. I would have thought, yeah, it would be, if there was a COG issue, that, you know, maybe making them change the ballast around in the car, but with that, what happened to the COG testing that they did earlier on in the year, where that was all above board and everybody matched, supposedly? Once again, I don't think anyone has the answer, so we're just throwing darts at a dartboard and seeing what comes up as a solution. Now, it's time for the Bathurst preview. I'm doing this over 2 weeks because it is Bathurst, and I'm going to run through who I think this week are the pretenders, and then next week we'll be looking at the contenders for the race. You are not going to agree with all of these, and because I've grouped them by teams, there's one combination in here that I think is probably a contender, but with the rest of the team dragging them down, you'll see when it comes up. But kicking it off like normal is Blanchard Racing. We have in the number 3 car, Todd Hazelwood and Tim Blanchard, and in the number 7, Aaron Love and Jake Kostecki. Realistically, I mean, Todd did a great job in qualifying at Sandown, but they couldn't keep the tyres on the car. Whether this changes for Bathurst, I don't think Tim's going to put the car in a position where they can challenge for the win in the when the co-drivers are out there together. He's not the fastest co-driver, so that car, even if Todd somehow miraculously gets it right into the front fight, I think Tim will drop it back a little bit. And what's happening now at Bathurst is you really need to be in that top 3, say, all day. You've got to have a co-driver that can keep that car in the top 3 for then the main driver to be able to work from that position. Granted, these cars will be easier, should be easier for them to pass. But yeah, I still think that you need that co-driver to be right pretty much at that top level to keep it right there in contention. So and the other car, I mean, it's a wild card. Aaron Love will be making his Bathurst 1000 debut, and Jake Kostecki just needs to put in a solid drive to get away those demons from last year. Next up is the Premier boys, Jimmy Goulding and Dylan O'Keefe. But they're just not going to be in the fight. Tim Slade and Jono Webb, they will be the team leader. Very impressed with what Jono did at Sandown, and I expect him to do even better in that car at Bathurst. But having said that, they're just not going to be in the fight. If they can scrape together a top 10 from that car, I think that would be a pretty happy result for them and something that they can build on in the future. They're not going to be contending for the win. Next up, on paper, these guys look like they should be contenders, but the Bathurst curse of Team 18 will probably strike once again. So Winterbottom and Caruso, you'll probably have steering dramas on lap 2 and be out of the running on the race. And Pye and Luff, they should be on the podium when these two get together. They just didn't have any pace at Sandown. I don't expect them to be in the fight at Bathurst, unfortunately. Once again, if either of these two get into the top 10, probably a good day for them. Matt Stone Racing, Jack LeBrock and Jaden Ojeda. These guys, if everything runs right for them, there is no reason why Jack cannot fight, with the front guys. He like what he did at Darwin. There's been a few points this year. He's run right up the front most of the year, or just kind of in that back half of the top 10. There's no reason they couldn't be in the fight. Jaden Ojeda, definitely no slouch, but realistically, when you look at some of the pairings next week and that, are these guys going to be in the fight? Well, probably not. And then Cam Hill and Jalen Robotham. Yeah, once again, if they get in the top 10, that'll have been a really great day. They're not going to be in the fight for the win. Brad Jones Racing, Andre Heimgartner and Dale Wood. They could be in the fight for the win. This is probably the strongest car that I will cover this week. They were 5th at Sandown. Yeah, they could be in the fight, but yeah, I'm with the rest of the team dragging them down, and with some of the combinations next week, I'm not going to be surprised if these guys are in the top 5 at the end of the day. Do they have the firepower to, say, take on Triple Eight or Erebus at the end of the race? Like, does Andre have that firepower there? Oh, I wouldn't put him, in that same league, but if everything runs right for them and they somehow find themselves in that top 3 towards the end of the day, I could see them. They could well be on the podium. Will they take the win? Probably not. As for the rest of the team, Forward and Fiore, once again, if they get in the top 10, it's been a great day. Jones and Jordan Boys, yeah, they'll be fighting from too far back on the grid. And Smith and Jackson Evans, well, yeah, once again, yeah, even top 15 for them will probably be a good day. And finally, in the pretenders for this week, bear with me, because when you stack up some of the ones next week, it was actually a bit of a toss-up, but yeah, I think the team that I was thinking about putting in this week, as opposed to these guys, I think they have a better chance if they turn up. Whereas these guys, I think even if they turn up, they're not going to take the win. But it's Dick Johnson Racing. Okay, bear with me. We've got the wild card with D. Silvestro and Kai Allen. They're not going to be going for the win. It would take exceptional circumstances for these guys to be fighting for the win. I think Kai Allen will be the kid to qualify the car and to finish off the day. I think he will end up being the lead driver. I think he's going to do an exceptional job and surprise many people. But to think he's going to be in the fight for the win in a DJR Mustang this year, not going to happen. As for the other 2 cars, Di Pasquale and D'Alberto, too many D something, so D'Alberto, D'Alberto. And then the Davison car. The co-drivers are not in the same league as the top co-drivers. They are very, very, very good co-drivers, but they're not in the same league. So if we have co-drivers starting the race, they're not going to keep the same pace as the guys from Erebus, Triple Eight, even Walkinshaws, and that's why they kind of got the nod in front. They've got the problem of being in Mustangs, and I don't think the co-drivers are quite there. Both will probably be solid top 10 cars, but I'm talking about the guys going for the win here. I think they're going to finish in the top 10. I don't think they're going to be going for the win. Whereas, well, Walkinshaws was the other team that I will preview next week. If it's their day, they could fight for the win. I can't see DJR, even if it is their day, I can't see these guys actually battling with the other ones for the win. But, they could prove me wrong. So yeah, next week I will cover off the contenders, which are the guys that I think will be actually fighting for the win there, or will, some of the guys won't be, but I think their teams are more likely to be in there fighting for the win. So yeah, down in the comments, let me know why you think I've been very unfair on Dick Johnson Racing. think all the others have been pretty fair, really. But yeah, I am excited that Bathurst is coming up though. It's so close we can nearly taste it. So yeah, next week will be the contenders. Until then, I'm still Dave and I'll catch you later.